Beginning to wonder what was more exceptional when Stephen Ross sat down with Joe Philbin across the table and said, "Oh, that's my man," after listening to the Joe, or was he more excited when he heard Mike McDaniel say things like that? Mike, how would you face your team after a small, short, hopefully losing streak? And he says something like that, and Stephen Ross says, "This is the guy. Get the contract." Hey, Garfunkel, get in here with the contracts.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
All right, very pleasant good morning, everybody. Welcome to a midweek Wednesday edition of the Defo Show. We got Mike Lubie Lubitz. We have Mike Lubie Lubitz right over there. He's the handsome one here on the program, and the old Mark Hockman loaded potato here. We got bacon, we got cheese, we got everything thrown in there. Can you even fathom? I mean, I remember when I used to be able to eat like a whole pizza at one sitting and still be hungry, Louie. I don't know if, you had a ravenous appetite at one point in time. I saw you chow down. I mean, it was the way you ate that made it more sort of exaggerated. The seeming amount that you were consuming.
That's because I've never eaten as much as you guys think I eat. I just wasn't the most polite, classy, elegant eater.
You had certain OCD considerations. You had to examine everything, and then you would scrape off like a morsel of mayonnaise and then load it up with something else. I mean, and you dissected the ingredients. That was the thing, I guess, that sort of amazed people because everybody else was already chowing down, and you were still analyzing the stuff under an electron microscope before you actually reassembled everything and then ate it as is, which always amazed me. I was just reading an article about how Hollywood's gone double O in terms of Ozempic, and it's almost frightening how skinny people are getting. These were people that weren't necessarily obese or dealing with any kind of weight issues to begin with. And now they're just emaciated. They have that, I hate to say it, but, like prisoner of war type of look. And, I mean, it's sort of a frightening development because everybody is being super skinny back in, Lubie. Is that the way that everybody's going to?
Yes. I don't know. I've never been a fan of super skinny.
Super skinny. It's like almost sickly looking, isn't it? No?
Never been a fan, but yes, everyone, I guess, envisions that. I don't know. Men envision their younger self, and women always want to be. I don't know. Like whatever. I have a weird. I can see both sides of Ozempic. Being around people who've used it, it worked for Shirley. She didn't need to lose a lot of weight, but she wanted to, well before the pregnancy. And her sister's lost a ton. Her sister had major weight issues that she had never had most of her life, but through college and after college and struggled to get rid of it. And Ozempic helped her a lot, and she did it healthy. She's exercising, she eats right. But she, I guess, with portion control struggled. But I agree with you in a lot of ways that stuff that you need for help is fine, but I always wonder what the side effects are. Like steroids. When I was in college, I worked out a lot, and people were doing creatine, and they were doing other things, and it always scared me because I'm like, it's helping you in one area, but what is it detracting from, and what is that going to do long term? That's always been my fear. Like,
I hate to say it, I mean, but this isn't like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. type of stuff, but and we've known a few guys that we've even worked with in this business that were doing massive amounts of steroids while denying it to everybody, even though you would find the syringes in the garbage pail outside of the lunchroom. And sadly, they then subsequently, at very young ages, had serious health issues, cancer and things like that. You hate to see it. So you never know. I mean, it looks great at the time. Those kind of things scare me. They frighten me. But anything to help somebody get started and get on the right path, I guess, if it doesn't have overwhelming consequences, is fine. But in essence, you pretty much want to do everything on your own. No, I mean, if you can. I mean, some people they just can't do it. A little discipline, it's always good. A little bit of discipline. All right, so we have a lot to talk about here on the program and a lot to get to. Tony's going to join us. Tony Segreto. Ed Garcia's got to be just in absolute heaven right now, although his Michigan Wolverines lost to Ohio State. But right on the heels of this, I'll never forget how stunned I was when I found out in 1983. I guess it was 82. Yeah, 82 was when I first started covering Hurricane football. I got here in 1981. And of course, Schnelly was there, and he was establishing that, oh, we're going to put a fence around Dade County and declare this the state of Miami. We're like, what are you talking about, Howard? You're out of your mind. And sure enough, a year later, he wins a national championship. So that was great. But I was stunned that there was no basketball. I was thinking, okay, and this was one of my concerns when I first moved here, thinking I was going to get into sports news coverage, if you could call it that, which it was. And I left Los Angeles, where they had what? They had essentially two baseball teams. They had two football teams because the Raiders had moved there at the time and were playing there briefly as Al Davis built the league out of several fortunes to the point where Mark Davis has babes. Unbelievable. Not even questioning what kind of I would walk around with a Buster Brown haircut. The guy's got like cufflinks of babes. He looks like when Joe Willie walked into that AFC title game in 1968 and the two Swedish models were basically holding him up. And you were thinking, how the hell is this guy going to play? Shows up at like 12 o'clock for the 1 o'clock game. And of course, the rest is history. He throws that pass at Don Maynard at the end of the ball game, and everybody leaves happy. They make it to the Super Bowl III, and bingo. They win that right here in the city of Miami. But one of my concerns was there wasn't enough to cover here. I didn't realize the extent of popularity of college football in the so-called, can we consider this the Deep South? Mike Lubie Lubitz, it's not really considered the Deep South, but it is, right? First thing I saw on the grocery shelves that reminded me where I was Deep South peanut butter. Is that still around, that brand, Deep South?
Yeah, for sure.
Or did they Deep Six it? What do you think?
I've seen Deep South.
Deep South?
I've seen it. Yeah, I think it exists. I've seen it.
Is it essentially true that peanut butter is peanut butter, or do you go by different brands? That would be a topic for debate there on Mayo's Let's Eat South Florida.
Yeah.
But I was stunned because I was thinking, well, what is there to cover here? And I figured right after the football season was over there in 1982, a transition right into basketball. That would be one of the things on the map. But we didn't have all these other sports then. We had nothing. We had the Miami Dolphins, no Heat. They came along in 1988. Yeah. The Marlins' first season was 1993.
Yep.
The Panthers' first season, I believe, was 93, 94, wasn't it? Did they both come along in the same?
The next year, yeah. They came along, I guess, the next year or thereabouts.
Okay. So there was nothing, and then I'm looking for the gym, saying, okay, so who's the basketball coach here? Is it Rick Barry? I don't know, and nothing. I was amazed, and it was a big concern. But it surely, I mean, what was part of the reason why football was so popular here in South Florida, and I didn't realize to what extent the rabid nature of the fans were. That being said, and it was sort of predating the super saturation of sports talk. I don't know what your origins were with sports talk. Mine were listening to John Sterling, the former Yankee announcer, actually had a sports talk show that was very interesting in New York on the New York radio airwaves, and that was the only one that was in existence at the time that I remember. There might have been some other guys that dabbled in it, but there wasn't a proliferation of sports talk shows. Lubie, you'll find that amazing, considering that you grew up in an era where entire networks are based around sports talk shows now.
Yes.
I really enjoyed Sterling's sports talk show and sports talk debates. They weren't as just fabricated as they tend to be now, where you take any topic and you have one guy screaming on one end, and a whole Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith formula. One guy screaming about one thing, one guy screaming about the other. And even though you have to believe that whoever is taking the weaker position knows that his opinion is ridiculous. I could never do that. I don't know. I could always make both sides of any argument, but the sophist approach, and it may be important if you're doing sports talk. There were guys that no matter what the caller said, they felt they had to disagree with him, even if the caller had just called in to say that, hey, you're absolutely right, Lubie. whatever you just said about the Marlins organization, that is spot on. And you go, hey, what the hell are you talking about? What do you know? You know, there's a little bit of Hank Goldberg in there. He just like 100% agreed with everything he said. And sure enough, he would go away from it. But sports talk debates were always a main formula and part of the equation for what seemed like any kind of success in the topical sports talk business. I remember when I started listening to this guy in LA whose name escapes me. He had a popular sports talk show, and this also predated all sports radio. And for like 3 summers in a row, he spent the entire program debating who was the better shortstop. This was right out of Marino or Montana here. Who's the better quarterback? Which, I mean, you could not have a more cliche debate than that. But he was debating the ridiculous. Who was the better shortstop? Now, this predates your baseball era, but you probably would actually know the answer to this. Often, I mean, not that there is one, because it's a matter of opinion, but I think anybody, 99 out of 100 people would say, if you were asking them who was the better shortstop at the time, Bill Russell of the LA Dodgers, nice player, as they would say. And that's a cliche I absolutely despise, Lubie. Yeah, he's a nice player. What does that mean? He sucks?
He's average.
He's a nice player. He hits 286. He doesn't make a lot of errors.
Yes,
I'm not gonna, I mean, it's not like he's going to be Ozzie Smith out there on defense, but he's okay. He doesn't make a fundamental player. Good fundamental player. That was Bill Russell. Dave Concepcion was an exceptional shortstop. He was a better fielder. He was a better hitter. He was a better base runner. He was more aggressive. He was more of a catalyst in everything that happened for the Cincinnati Reds, and he was playing on the big red freaking machine. Come on. I mean, and he wasn't lost in there. So there was no debate about that. But when I came here, the debates were always over. Well, you had the classic one. Who's the better quarterback, Marino or Montana? That went on for years. Who is, by the way, Libby, in your opinion, Marino or Montana?
Montana. I love Marino, and I always agreed. Marino had that talent around him and that coaching staff. I think he would have won as much as Montana won. But there's something to be said for the fact that Montana was willing to capitulate to a system, and from what we've heard, Marino was the system. So
he didn't like to run the ball.
He didn't like running the ball. He never put an onus on running the ball. He never went to Shula and was like, look, we need better running. So
who didn't enjoy Marino running down the field 40 yards screaming at Mark Duper that he dropped a pass?
And his demeanor supposedly was
like it just screwed up an order of lasagna in an Italian restaurant. Like the chef's coming out of the kitchen.
I love Marino, and I think he got shafted a little bit in the talent they put around him 100% defensively for the majority of his career. Even the receivers, the Marx brothers, were nice, but that was short-lived, and they didn't do anything after that. So I don't put it on him per se, but I mean, he didn't seem bothered being on that team. Like, he seemed to like the construction of that team. So.
And you just illustrated the point here, because totally meaningless topic dredged up from 40 years ago. And we were able to do a couple of minutes on it. You know what? We could 100%. Do a couple of minutes more. Well, when Jason Cole comes on the show, that's going to be the first question.
Yeah, because he
might ask him that. Okay, Jason, good to have you on the show here. Who was the better quarterback, Marino or Montana?
And he's a California kid who covered the Dolphins. So there you go. I'm sure he's well-versed in that ridiculous argument.
I'm sure I mean, can you imagine? He's stuck for a column and he writes that? Well, you know what? If you really look at it overall. And the reason I bring this up is because when I arrived here, of course, it was a lot of college football debates, and most of those debates centered around who should be the national champion. Even after the 83 season, deflected away. There's Kenny Calhoun. He gets a fingertip on the ball. Boom, Tom Osborne, Mr. Conservative. Who would have figured that he would go for 2 when Pat Tie-Dye goes for a tie in a bowl game while he's in a position to win the national championship? And that seemed so gutless, so lacking in courage to the people that did the voting that they said, bleep you, Pat Dye, you're out, they're in. Now, the Hurricanes had just beaten what was conceived to be, and you could make this debate, talk about sports talk debates. If you were debating what was the most loaded college football roster of all time, could it have been the 1983 Nebraska Cornhuskers?
Yeah.
Was Irving Fryer like an afterthought on that team? No, he was a star.
It's one of the great rosters of all time, 100%, yeah.
One of the great rosters of all time. I think you could just throw them in there, and not too many people are going to think that you're crazy. So, but we debated endlessly to the point where your face is turning red, screaming at people who should be the national champion. And the Canes, of course, catapulted themselves from number 5 with that victory. Everybody surpassed Pat Tie-Dye with his Auburn Tigers because the gutless wimp nature of going for the tie in that spot. And deservedly so. And look, it started, it triggered, it ignited an era of completely improbable results with this Hurricane football program, where they went on to you could say it was 2 decades essentially of dominance. You win a quarter of the national championships. I guess when you're looking at what happens, in recent times here, where you have just a handful of teams dominating, they kind of came out of nowhere also to do that as the program was on the threshold of the brink of extinction. So, but it was always great debating all this stuff, and the reason I bring this up is because what is more amazing in terms of having wide open, unanswerable, and no definitive solution to debating the college football playoff system and who belongs and who doesn't. Because what are you going to do here? Miami now, everybody's dancing in the streets here in South Florida because Miami got the 12th spot, but there's a big asterisk there. I mean, it's like, holy crap, what is Ford Frick going to do to diminish Roger Maris's great accomplishment? He's going to put an asterisk in the record book because every day somebody goes to the record book and goes, see, that's not the record. There's an asterisk. What kind of nonsense? That was another one. Should there be an asterisk? That's a great sports talk debate. That was very popular.
100%,
who gives a flying one if there's an asterisk in the record book? When have you ever picked up the baseball record book? Is there one?
I know. Is there an actual book? I think there's different artifacts in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if there's an actual one book that has every.
Well, you know what? There should be an asterisk there. Yeah, go bleep yourself. I'll give you an asterisk. Shove it right where the sun don't shine. So, what's the deal here, Lubie? That doesn't make them any cinch because two conference champions could get in there and eclipse them and knock them right out of the.
Yes, well, Virginia wins. Virginia's definitely getting it. Virginia has the same record as UM and would be the AC champ. So Virginia would get in over Miami.
BYU though is in there now, and they could lose.
Duke's the weird one because I don't know if Duke wins.
Duke will never make it into the playoffs, can they?
So there's got to be. It's an automatic, except for like it's that highest 4 rank. So they could find some machination and leave Duke out. I don't see Duke winning. I think Virginia will win that. Okay, so Virginia.
BYU is supposedly going to
get the G5 will get in because Tulane. Or
James Madison.
James Madison should be ranked top 20.
James Madison is going to beat out the University of Miami. Are you kidding me?
Look, if they are the highest ranked G5 is supposed to get in. So those two are not accounted for yet. And that's where a Miami and a Notre Dame probably will get a job. BYU is the interesting thing because if BYU wins their conference, they're definitely in. And both Miami and Notre Dame, it seems like, will be out if BYU wins. If BYU loses, that supposedly is the thing that makes it. That's why they put 10 Notre Dame, 11 BYU, 12 Miami. If BYU loses, they would just remove BYU. And then the G5 ACC would get in, but there would be one more spot. And that one spot would go to either Miami or Notre Dame. And then that's where the Miami fan gets their debate that they've been having with themselves for the last month and a half. Then you now have Notre Dame versus Miami because they're right there compared to each other directly, same record, and Miami beat them head to head. Then people are thinking if BYU loses, Miami will then get in.
Don't lose to 2 unranked schmink teams is the name of the game.
It doesn't matter. Everyone has 2 losses, and they were here. They're the top 12, and they've been around the top 15 all year long, and
do you believe Nick Saban actually believes, or was he just making this up, Nick? I'm thinking that they haven't gotten to Nick to the point where he just says stuff to say stuff. Do you believe that his proclamation there on ESPN Game Day, College Game Day, that Miami would be that team that nobody wants to face? Is that really true?
No, that's not true. I think Miami is an interesting team. I think if you look at the way they finished the year with the scores, which is what people are doing, we won 150-40. Okay. I think they didn't face Pitt, I guess, is ranked. And I thought Pitt would push them just because of them, not because Pitt. Like, I don't think Pitt's some good team. I just think Miami struggle with teams that don't make mistakes and play smart. I think Miami, if you look at a lot of teams like, okay, Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma has a great defense, struggles on offense. Like, A&M has their issues. Indiana has their issues. Like most of the teams, Georgia has Miami's isn't as one-sided. Like Miami's defense is solid, their offense is solid. My problem with Miami is that's the thing. Neither side's great. Like
All right.
neither side scares me. So I guess that's what they're saying is you get a balanced team with Miami, and they have played much better the last month. But they also haven't played any of the competition that these other teams. Like if you're in the SEC every week, you're playing a ranked team, and the Big Ten, you're at least playing one of those more powerful teams. The team Miami has played is sort of So again, I'm not holding it against them. They won. I think they should be right where they are, and I think if BYU loses, that debate should happen, and Miami should get the edge over Notre Dame at this point if they're going to really have the same record and they are ranked right by each other. It's hard to not give the nod to the team that won head to head. I also am weirded out that BYU is getting jobbed. I think BYU is in the better conference. I think BYU is in their conference championship game, and you're now telling them they're getting punished for losing a conference championship game, and Miami's benefiting from not having to play in one.
I love it. That's why it's great. I mean, we'll never run out of debates on this thing. And the more they expand the playoffs to supposedly lessen the blow of somebody getting screwed, the more wide open it's become. All right, let's bring in. I didn't even realize this. We've already been yapping here about 20 minutes, and got Tony Segreto in the background here. Who better to bring in on this thing? And we do have a challenge here for Tony. If I can find my notes from yesterday here.
Louis Aparicio.
Louis was great, man. No question about it. The Go-Go Sox there. What was that, 1951 or 50, somewhere in there?
Yeah.
No, it was after that. 59 was the Go-Go Sox.
Louis, how are you? How are you, Papa?
Great, Mr. Segreto. How are you, sir?
You feeding the baby as we talk?
It was.
This is how the show goes now. We're babysitting on the show.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Hopefully, I can bring some barking dogs, barking Akita. And the next thing you know, I got OJ in a black outfit knocking on my door here saying, "You mind if I come in?" It was just chipping some
How are you, Jeff, today?
Couldn't be better because I love this. And there's nobody more appropriate to have on the program at this point than you. We have two things for you, Tony Segreto. Pioneering in sports talk here in town. You were right there with me, 40 years of sports talk debates. Well, all right. So where do you stand on who's a better quarterback, Marino or Montana? Let's settle that right away. You don't have to give any detailed answer. It's a ridiculous argument, but nonetheless,
Marino.
How many shows did you spend with people come? Listen, you're biased, man. You're a homer, Segreto. It's Montana. He's got the rings. What do you think? Where are you going with that? You're a Notre Dame guy, though. Biased.
Danny.
Thank you very much. Okay. I mean, can you really answer that question? That's why it's a good debate, I guess.
This
depends on the criteria. I don't know. Who was more fun to watch? That would be an interesting question.
That'd be an interesting question because.
All right. So, what do you think? I mean, go ahead. Yeah.
If you were just who was more fun to watch, Marino by far.
I mean, Joe was not lacking in entertainment quotient, though. I don't know about by far. I mean, it was interesting to watch Montana operate, and especially because he had that component of a winner. I mean, the legend goes that he's in the huddle for that game-winning drive against the Bengals in the Super Bowl that took place here in Miami, and he's looking at it like 13 seconds to go, and the clock's ticking, and he's got a game. Yeah, and he says, "Hey, look who's in the crowd." That's the stuff of which legends are made. There's no doubt. It's right up there with. I actually witnessed this personally with Joe Willie coming in through right by my souvenir stand from the Players Parking Lot for the '68 AFC title game, and everybody was looking around, going, "Hey, anybody seen Namath show up?" And sure enough, he shows up like within an hour of game time, and he is being held up. Tony, this is no exaggeration, by two looked like twin Swedish blonde models, and they literally were holding him up. He wouldn't have been able to make it in there on his own. And then he goes down and wins the game and wins Super Bowl III. So Montana had a little bit of that in him, which I kind of like. All right, so where do you stand on this thing? Canes in or out, deserved or undeserved? I guess if they get in, they deserve it. If they don't, do they have themselves to blame? And do you see them in the college football playoff as they currently stand in the penultimate ranking Will they be there in the last one?
I don't know. The chairman of the selection committee said, and I quote very loosely, that there could be movement in the poll without playing.
How great is that?
So that tells you that, hey, for my sake, for strictly my own sake, Tony Segreto stands up here. I hope either Notre Dame and Miami get in or they get out.
You want both out?
Because if one gets in, the other fan base will go nuts.
Lose your mind, yeah.
I don't see how Miami could get in without Notre Dame being in there. If I mean, what Notre Dame has no more activity this year, so how do they lose their spot? And they're standing.
Notre Dame and Miami are both playing their best football right now.
Maybe so. I don't know. Yeah, Miami looked good their last couple of games. I'll give you that. Notre Dame, the knock on them was fairly soft schedule after those first couple of games. They did beat USC, which everybody beats USC, it seems like. I remember covering USC when they were a dominant factor. That hasn't been the case for the last 50 years.
They beat Pitt.
Yeah. All right. I mean, so what's Pitt? Pitt's, going on the road and winning that game convincingly. Look, I'm a big Miami fan. I'd love to see him in the playoff. I hate the fact that the Cristobal factor would be the demise of their chances. I don't know that they are better than, any of the teams in the top 5 or 6. Or could beat them head to head, but are they capable of winning a game? Yeah, probably so. But there's a reason, an even deeper reason that you're here, Tony Segreto, and that's because we have to talk about the red hot, streaking Miami Dolphins. All right?
They are streaking so fast.
They're streaking.
See them. You can't see them.
3 wins in a row. Who's hotter? I mean, in the NFL.
Who's hotter? 3 garbage teams, and they've struggled with all 3. They got lucky to win all 3.
All right.
Daniels tried to lose all 3 games.
We have been giving you stuff, the business here, Ben Dry style, for years, Tony, because of the fact that you were famous for going to the schedule and going through the games before. As soon as the Dolphins schedule was announced, who was it? Was it Ann Bishop, Ralph Rennick? Who was the guy that you were working with?
Ralph Rennick.
Rennick. I mean, here is one of the most distinguished voices and faces in South Florida journalistic history. This guy was Walter Cronkite to the South Florida media. Yeah,
he was
a war would break out, in some desert country, and they would have clips of this and soldiers and bombs going off and everything, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of the newscast, Rennick would stop everything and go, "All right, I know that's going on right now, but the Dolphins' schedule just landed on my desk as if he was Bondi. And let's go to Tony Segreto over here. And they already had you set up over in the corner there by a green screen of the Dolphins. So we have 5 games left, Tony Segreto.
Yes.
For our 5 and 7 Dolphins.
Yes.
All right. And speculation is, I mean, are they not capable of running the table, which would be a shocking turn of events, and ending up in the postseason somehow? They're not out of it. So we need you to give us a win and a loss in these 5 games. Can you do that for us? Yeah. All right. So this Sunday, they're at the New York Jets as 2.5-point favorites. Jets just won a ball game. Jets haven't really thrown in the towel, although they're not a very good team. New York Jets. Miami at the New York Jets at the Meadowlands. Win or lose, Miami Dolphins?
Miami.
Wins. Okay.
Miami.
All right. The following week, they travel to a sinking ship of a team. Aaron Rodgers looks like a completely shot fighter. Fingers are being pointed. There's speculation Tomlin's going to be gone after this year. There's always speculation about that. He ends up winning enough games to keep that whole legacy going with the Pittsburgh Steelers, that they've only had 3 coaches since Alonzo Stagg invented the ball game. Does Miami, fresh off, in your opinion, a victory over the New York Jets, go into Pittsburgh and win that game to go to 7-7 with a 5-game winning streak?
No.
Oh,
they lose there?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh, Tony, man, the
It's a
whole
different
bit's
Tony
blown.
Segreto. I think they
Now what do we do? Lubie, go to a break. No,
I don't know. I'm at a loss. I don't remember these
we got
segments.
3 more games here. We thought we were going to predict we're going to win, Tony. How the hell are we going to stay with it? All right, so you have them losing that one. Let's see if we can get through the rest of this, just out of curiosity. Cincinnati. What about Cincinnati? Joe Burrow's back. They would be coming off a loss, in your opinion, then, against Pittsburgh, and a very deflating one because it would be derailing this tremendous momentum that they had going.
That's debate.
Can they handle Cincinnati, what a lousy defense Cincinnati has?
Yes.
All right, so you got them 2-1. Tampa Bay presents a little bit more of a problem, although we don't exactly know what Tampa Bay is at this stage. They looked great early in the season, sort of came back to the pack, staggered their way to a victory last week. I think they won by 3
Baker
points.
Mayfield
over the Dolphins. All right.
Over that.
This is ugly. Now, I don't know if this game will have any meaning. They finish up on the road at New England against the Patriots. The Patriots may have everything under wraps at that point, including the number 1 overall seed. It's possible. If that happens, then they're probably benching all of their starters. But if it doesn't happen, if the game has meaning, let's assume that the game is on the level here and isn't just a throw-in. Can they go to New England and beat the Patriots?
No.
No.
Oh, shoot. All right, and there goes that. Lubie, what else can we talk about on the show?
2 and 3 down the
Shula's rolling over.
2 and 3 down the
Shula's losing. He's not happy right now.
Oh my God, he's advising his grandson not to ever take the head coaching job at his team. Which shouldn't that be the move?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Chris Shula becomes
good.
He's
really good. He's been in the game a long time. He's from the
He's really good.
But on defense, and he's doing a hell of a job with their defense.
Why is his name more prominently mentioned?
I don't know, but I'm hoping it's because the Dolphins are going to do something very interesting and go. It would be great to go full circle with.
Wouldn't that be something, Lubie?
Isn't that the move? You get rid of this schmuck.
He's respected, from what I know. I mean, I know he hasn't been to DC for long, but he's been there for a little bit, and he's been with the Rams for a while. And
how is this not already in the works? You have access to the inner workings of these franchises, Tony. I mean, you know more than Garfunkel about this thing. Is there not a movement, some kind of conversation going on, being at least initiated, that Chris Shula should become the coach of the Miami Dolphins? Nothing, huh?
Nothing, honey. Nothing.
All right. I mean, you should be plugged into this, Tony. All right, we're going to come back with more Tony Segreto. Ed Garcia can't join us today. He's still euphoric. He must be celebrating Dusty May's arrival there in Michigan a year ago. Where wow, I mean, what hasn't this guy done in terms of elevating the status of that program? It's been great. But we will tell you about Texas Roadhouse restaurants and a lot more when we come back with Tony Segreto in a moment. Now that. I can't believe Tony hasn't going 2 and 3 down the stretch. All night long, I dreamt about this program. It's 8:35.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-482-0000 453-9066.
Joe Bees. The bees collect the pollen, bring it to Joe, he packages it, and he gets it to you. It's simple, 100% natural, and it's good for you.
There's only one place to get Joe Bees, and that's from me. Joe B.
If you want to look and feel good, call 877-300-5632.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor.
All right, welcome to the show. We're gonna be with
They're having this major debate on ESPN right now about Miami or Notre Dame.
Oh yeah.
I've never heard Miami being so discussed, since they walked out of that steak fry at the Fiesta Bowl against Penn State on a national level, where everybody's been talking about Miami for the last several weeks, and whether or not there's always some school. I mean, it just happens. This is our hometown team here, and a team naturally that we've all had very close ties to over the years. But I mean, there's always one team that's the sort of focus of who's getting possibly shafted. I mean, the argument is a solid one. Head-to-head competition should always be the number one criteria and tiebreaker. Now, if teams have the same record, which they do, if you're looking at a team that played a very soft schedule but eked out on opening day, 4-point win, whatever that was, over Notre Dame, with Notre Dame coming on, if they play another 5 minutes, Notre Dame wins the game. Cristobal is trembling on the sidelines there.
The Cristobal factor always comes in with you.
It was a huge factor, I think, in that game. I watched a little bit. That was being replayed just the other day when I was flipping channels, and the Canes were in command in that ball game, only to be victimized by the Cristobal factor rearing its ugly head, where he goes away from what's working, of course, and allows the other team to get back into the ball game. That being said, I mean, what was interesting also, there was a big debate about whether or not the Lane Kiffin departure and the fact that he was saying he was going to take whatever coaches were going to leave with him and players, they were going like right now. I don't know if any of that actually transpired, but supposedly that was the mandate that he had, that if you're coming with me, you come with me now, because these guys jobbed me and wouldn't let me finish out the season. But supposedly that was going to be a consideration as to whether Ole Miss even got into the postseason, and they actually
went up
in the rankings.
Yeah.
As a result of that. All right, so that's another one of those great sports talk debates. Where do you stand on the whole Lane Kiffin thing? I took exception with the idea that he's being painted as such a rat, because it's just a byproduct of the way the system is designed. There's no good way to do this.
The system is designed this way, and we either take it or leave it. Because, first of all, if LSU wanted him that bad, they would have said, okay, we'll announce it after the season, plain and simple.
Well, they did offer him the chance to stay there. It was Ole Miss that said, hey, that ain't happening. So LSU, interestingly, and you talk about just capitulating to whatever leverage this guy had with Jimmy Sexton, they're going to pay him the bonuses that he would have been due if he was still at Ole Miss.
Yes.
Or his post. I mean, they're giving the guy $90 million. I mean, this was another one. I remember when Kevin Brown signed what at the time was like a ridiculous deal.
Oh, my God.
He left the Marlins with San Diego, and then he insisted that he also get use of the team's private jet. It's kind of like looking at what happened with Juan Soto, where the deal breaker was between the Mets and the Yankees, use of a family suite at Yankee games. And you're thinking, geez, I mean, with $750 million, could you buy a suite, buy a couple of tickets? No. And Lane Kiffin's deal also includes, I guess, 60 hours of private jet time that he's desperately going to need.
It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
All right, but I mean, what do you make of the moral, the ethical aspect of it? I mean, are you on the bandwagon that Kiffin is a jerk for doing what he did, or that unfortunately, because of the fact that you have these key days, as Lubie's been pointing out, with a national letter of intent, if there is such a thing anymore, or commitment day.
Early one is today, and then
and the formal. Yeah, then what's the guy going to do? I mean, it's not his fault that this is the system. What's he supposed to do? How do you leave gracefully under these circumstances?
You don't.
Yeah,
you just don't. You can't leave gracefully anywhere without causing problems. You know, he was run off the road, but allegedly by a fan. He that whole thing was handled as poorly as possible.
Right up there with the Nick Saban Alabama deal.
Oh yeah.
Although, and as much as I despise Saban and root for his demise, in terms of
I like him on TV.
You do? Well, he was a big advocate, and I don't know if he's succumbed to what you have to do to be successful today and just say things whether you mean them or not. But he considered Miami to be a big danger. I mean, what kind of handicapper is Nick Saban? He said that they were the Florida State of this year, where at the end of every season, you used to say after Florida State had no chance to win a national championship, well, who would want to play him right now? Not us. And you could make that debate. I don't know. Do you think Nick Saban really believes that Miami is a danger and a possible threat to win it all if they get a chance?
Yes.
Does he believe that in your heart of hearts? So
Yes.
he does? All right.
Yes. I
All right.
believe it. You know, if that Miami Notre Dame debate is just there's a guy at my gym. He is giving me. Comes in with a paper. He's literally armed with information. He says to me, "This is why the Miami Hurricanes get in." I said, "Why are you telling me this?"
Dr. Condoleezza Rice.
Well, I know you're a Notre Dame guy. I said, my son, all my money is there.
Yeah.
All
But
the
I
money.
think you built a hecked athletic center, though, with some of your sponsors.
I mean, you're sort of a UM guy in many ways.
I think of you as a UM guy before Notre Dame.
Not a
I
Notre Dame
understand
guy.
your affection for Notre Dame.
So my wife says that we're watching the college football playoff.
You
we
actually
got-
watch when they unveil, like,
Oh,
who
yeah.
is in? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even these preliminary rounds.
Yes. So my wife says, the way I see it, honey, you got it at both ends. You got, if Miami wins and Miami gets in, you're golden. If Notre Dame gets in, you're golden. Now Florida State is another story, and that's where my daughter went. So
Oh yeah. Well, they're going nowhere this year, and according to Lubie, they're going nowhere next year. Also, under Mike Norvell,
do you think so? Why do you think they didn't get rid of Norvell?
because they can't pay him.
They don't want to pay them money. I mean, they have it. They just don't want to. They're being cheap. And again, this Bobby allowed
Still paying Jimbo, I think.
No, they're not. They don't have. They were done with all the payouts a few years ago. Bobby allowed them to get. They were spoiled, where he didn't ask for anything from them. They didn't need money. Bobby just won every year, and since then, that's why Jimbo got frustrated. Like, they're very cheap. Norvell got them to do all the things Jimbo wanted. They redid the dope. They got the football only facility. They have an indoor practice facility. Their facility, their gym's as good as any in the country. They've spent over $400 million. So they spend money they've been fighting to spend for years. That's all they want to spend. It's been reported widely. They have the money. They could get it. It wouldn't hurt them. They could then go and spend money on a big coach. They have the money to play with any of the big boys. The difference is the big boys are in the SEC and the Big Ten, so they know it'll be replenished very easily, and they don't have to bend over backwards. FSU knows won't be as easy, so they're being cheap. That's why he's returning, because there's no football reason. I mean, 2 years in a row like this is the worst stretch in Florida State history. Even going back to Mudra, like, they were never, even when they were, unless you go back to before football, like, they weren't to have these 2 years in a row like this. I mean, he's had 4 losing seasons, in 6 years. I mean, even bad. Look, Kentucky had his best time under Stoops, 2 bad years, and he's gone. Right? The guy's had 4 bad years of 6. Like, he's only there because they're being cheap. It's not even because of the buyout, it's because they're being cheap about the buyout. And yes, I get it. A lot of guys re-signed and extending, blah, blah, blah. You can always find coaches. Like,
the
we
pressure.
don't always know the great coaches out there. So, like, if you go and grab a coordinator from Georgia or from Alabama, who's to say he's not going to become great? Like, that, to me, that's never an excuse. Like, when things are proven to be this, it's 2 years in a row of this. They've regressed every game for 2 straight years. You know what he is. You know what he's going to be. Like, it's the same thing with the Dolphins. Yeah, the Dolphins eked out 3 wins. Come on, they played garbage teams, and their coach did everything he could to lose the games. The other teams were worse Like if the other teams were like, really, McDaniel, they would have won those games because they were just as stupid as the Dolphins. So that's why the Dolphins won those games. Like to me, when I get turnover over and over again isn't good. But I also, being a Dolphin fan and seeing Sperano and Philbin and Gase and McDaniel all get extra years, like just sticking with failures isn't good either. So I have no hope. This is the least hope the FSU fan base has had in my entire life. Like the Taggart era, yeah. Well, in year 2 they got rid of him. Like Jimbo, yeah, he left. They didn't mess around. They went and got Taggart.
I listened to Jimbo on what was it, Tuesday afternoons on Sirius XM.
Yeah, he
does his own show now.
No, he does it with ACC Network. He does a lot with ACC Network.
He's pretty good. He's
good at breaking down the game. And he wants to be FSU's coach again. He hasn't even hit it. I wouldn't go near him. Like the way he left, and he wasn't coaching with his players. These are literally Jimbo players, and he was winning 7-8 games. And Elko was going to be a top 4 seed in the playoffs, like our top 7 seed. Like Jimbo, whatever, if it's a divorce, like our buddy Ken says, whatever it is, after that championship, there was a precipitous downfall of his coaching abilities, and he has not regained it. So like, I wouldn't go near him. I don't know. It's just, I'm very blah about the whole thing because I look at all these other programs, at least taking chances. I'd rather you take chances than just stand pat with failure. Like that's just the worst thing you could do.
This does seem to be on an ugly downward spiral.
Yes. Yes.
We got to run actually. We got is Jason Cole going to join us here? Jason Cole coming up in just a sec. We're going to talk a little NFL football. And did you get out to Texas Roadhouse by any chance? I just had an article here, and I was hoping to run this by Ed Garcia. Almost forgot about it, but it's in the New York Post today in the news section. And I don't know if you can see that, but it says a nutty RX for memory. Peanuts aid brain health. Peanuts. It says.
Peanuts.
Well, I mean, what's featured at Texas Roadhouse? They put those peanuts out there.
Peanuts out.
And you could leave there smarter than when you walked in.
I want to go take a smart peanut.
It's supposedly good for a lot of things. They eating a couple of portions of peanuts, especially in older people, Tony. So we're gonna have to get out to the Roadhouse there.
Who are those older people?
Well, it is Lubie. I mean, anybody can look at the screen here and make their own deductions about who the old farts are on the show. You look good though. You look good for an old guy. You're looking great, my friend. Looking good. Just keep those
75 and going strong.
Wow. That's I mean, it's always weird too when you hear like on a news story. Well, an elderly woman was mowed down by a train today while sitting in her car. 69-year-old Thelma, and you're like, wait a minute,
that's elderly.
That's elderly. Where am I? A near-death experience. Unbelievable.
Louie's a teenager.
I guess.
He's young. It's a beautiful thing. And I remember that was a great time being in your 40s. So enjoy it, Louie.
I'll try and enjoy it.
All right, Tony, you have a great week. Thanks for joining us here.
I'll see you on
I'm
Friday,
very
guys.
disappointed that you don't see the Dolphins sweeping these.
No way.
No way.
No. All right, thanks for being with us. Tony Segreto, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Segreto. What's the scoop on Jason? Jason Cole?
I'm calling him and not having any luck, so I'll let you know if I'm able to get him.
All right, so we have to run a bunch of stuff by him. Who's a better quarterback, Marino or Montana?
Yes.
I don't think we run this Dolphin schedule by him. That would be like a waste of time, wouldn't it? Well, although what do you see there, Lubie? Do you see them sweeping those 5? I don't see them. How could they sweep those 5 teams? Could they? I don't care how bad they are. Tampa Bay and New England, of course, are decent teams. Cincinnati may be better than the record would indicate because of the fact that Burrow didn't play most of the season. Pittsburgh really seems to be in a shambles, though, Louis. And the Jets, enigmatic. I mean, remember when this was a big deal? Even when the two teams, I guess they've been bad for so long collectively or as a tandem, that is the rivalry gone? Is that completely dissipated? Remember, used to literally on a Monday when the Dolphins were playing the New York Jets that subsequent Sunday, you could flip up on a microphone at any time of the day on any sports talk radio station. And there were like 11 sports talk radio stations at the time. And you could hear it on every one. It didn't matter who you were talking to. You're talking to Joe Rose? No problem. You're talking to Andy See You Later Slater? It's there. The Greek? Okay. I mean, whoever was on the air, everything was the same. You know what? I hate those stinking New York Jets, and I hope they lose, and I hope all of their players get injured. I'll hang up and listen. And it was a bitter rivalry, but and I used to witness it outside the stadium, fights, all kinds of stuff in the stands. The real reasons that you go and pay hundreds of dollars to take your family to a football game. A football fight you can't avoid. I forgot who was illustrating this. It was on some show I was watching, where if you're in a fight at a soccer stadium in the stands, so that mostly involves the two guys that were fighting. Is that true, or is that completely erroneous? Because that one of those two guys might burn down the stadium. I guess that's another consideration. But at a football game, if you're at an NFL game and a fight breaks out in the stands, there's a large radius of people that end up somehow on the fringes of being involved in that altercation. Is that a fair statement, Lubie? It's never just two isolated guys. It's always a deal where you may have nothing to do with it. You're just watching. All of a sudden, some guy throws a beer on you, and now you're involved in this altercation.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
Crazy stuff. But that used to be ignited. They would open the gates, and Jet fans and Dolphin fans would start throwing punches. That doesn't happen anymore. But what is your level of concern about this particular game? If you were going to be Segreto and peg the Dolphins to win, which if they lose now too, also, I mean, in spite of dredging up some momentum here to get to 5-7, then wow, that's ugliness. No, then that pretty much. That would quell any thought whatsoever that there was any progress being made and reignite the conversations, I believe, about Mike McDaniel needs to go. But two, getting back to that whole thing with Lane Kiffin, no noise whatsoever. I don't know. Did any of these other guys that took better jobs? Was it because they took a quantum leap forward in terms of job? That, in other words, a guy going from, say, Tulane to the University of Florida, like this Summerall guy did. Could you ever say, "Oh my God, what an asshole"? How could he leave those Tulane green waivers out and hang them out to dry like that? I guess is the deal that he continues with the team, that they have no problem with that, because Ole Miss certainly wanted nothing to do with Lane Kiffin talking. What I mean, they would just give him more time to talk to these guys. Is he not in communication with any of these coaches or players where he couldn't talk him into leaving with him anyway, even though he wasn't around the team?
Well, they're leaving. The whole offensive staff is leaving with him.
Yeah.
So being around the team or not, it's already been decided. I guess it came out yesterday that they're going to let the OC, because remember the OC was leaving with him, so both of them are going to be there. Supposedly the OC is going to be allowed to coach the team, so at least maybe that's what appeased the committee. I don't know.
That seems like an insane. I understand if you lose your entire coaching staff right before, you're about to enter supposedly the postseason. Probably doesn't bode well. The weakest argument, though, still, and every time it comes up, I'm stunned that because the starting QB for Florida State went down, the backup quarterback who just won a game in a tough circumstance, where you're expecting he's probably going to incur his biggest problems. No. First time out of the chute, or there wasn't really that much of an element of surprise with that kid, was there?
No, I mean both. I mean the Rodemaker kid was okay. The Glenn kid did nothing. He was a true freshman. they didn't ask anything of him, and he did nothing. He ran the ball, did some trick plays, got a couple touchdowns, got a lead, and then the defense was just a force of nature. So the defense didn't let UF or Louisville do anything in either of those games. So, which is literally how Michigan won. That was my thing. Michigan literally, JJ did nothing. It was just running and playing defense, which is what FSU literally did to get to that undefeated season, the last 3 games. So yeah, I mean, of course, look, again, we talked about Kenyon Martin got hurt before when Cincinnati was an overwhelming 1 seed, and that changed things for them. But they had never played without Kenyon Martin. He got hurt right before. He got hurt in like the conference tournament, and then they never saw them play without him. That was my contention with FSU, is you got to see them. They played 2.5 games, and they were dominant in the 2.5 games. Yeah, their offense sucked. Yeah, that's how good their defense was. They won by 9 at UF. They won by double digits versus Louisville, who was top 15 in both offense and defense to win their conference. Dominance is dominant.
There was only one reason for it, though, Nick.
Yeah. Well, he
Which is
was
another
leading
reason to despise Nick Saban,
um,
that he weaseled his way into influencing the committee. Would there be a natural tendency to take an SEC-based Alabama Crimson Tide over the Florida State Seminoles? The Seminoles don't have enough of a brand. I mean, it's certainly not of the same stature around the country and maybe around the world as Alabama would be, but it's not like they're a program that doesn't have its share of distinction and distinctions as a national champion and having been led to that position by a legendary Bear Bryant type of coach. You don't exactly see, you don't mention Mike Norvell and think of Bear Bryant right away, do you? I don't think so. And we like the guy. That's the funny part.
he's a good guy. I actually think he's a good coach. He did really good things with Memphis. He did
Yeah.
some things with FSU. Again, they had a consistent climb, this climb thing he loves, for 4 straight years. But to fall out off a cliff, go from 13-0. I get you got left out. I get it was a gut punch. You're the coach. You're supposed to rally them. Like, and people look at the Orange Bowl. He let them all opt out. I didn't care about that. To me, I wouldn't have risked once you told me going undefeated didn't matter. Why would I like they could have blown out Georgia? Like they weren't making more money, so why risk? And then if they had gotten hurt in that game, like the kid from Michigan in that Orange Bowl versus FSU, like Jake Butch was never the same. I've never heard that kid's name again. He was going to be a top 15 pick as a tight end out of Michigan. Like, so I'm going to risk myself when you just told me that the real games don't matter. Now this garbage game, you're going to get away from me. So I never cared about that. I didn't blame him that people opted out, but the fact that he couldn't rally them after that, the fact that they just became a disaster. This is the worst FSU's been. Like even under Taggart, they were around 500. Like to go 2-10. Again, people keep bringing this up and they're right. They were 3-0.
This is Joe Frazier at the bottom of the pool.
Well, they were 3-0. They had 9 games to win 3 games. All you had to do was go 3-6 to get bowl eligible with the ACC as your schedule. And you already played Alabama and Clemson sucks and the Gators suck, right? So literally outside of UM, every game is a team that's barely ranked. You couldn't win 3 games?
No, it's
they went 2-7.
I mean, they beat Alabama. They look great. They crushed 2 cupcakes like a grape.
Yeah.
Quarterback looks fantastic. I don't know what went wrong there, Lubie. And maybe some of it pertains to coaching. Maybe Norvell's not that great. That's entirely possible. But
you can't bring him back. Like you just can't bring him back. That's my thing. Like
pretty insane. Yeah. All right. A couple of other things. We were going to ask. There's an interesting piece today in my New York Post about Joe Shane. Comes under the heading of, and this is a popular sports talk category also, how does he keep his job? The New York Giants are 5-25 in their last games and last 30 games. And this is at a time where it would be the peak of the so-called theory that you need 4 or 5 years to put your program in place. His program's in place. He's had subsequent firings 2 weeks in a row, head coach and defensive coordinator. And just put in one of the most abysmal performances in the history of the NFL in terms of special teams play. Mike Westhoff. We should get Mike on and have him rate the Giants' special teams play.
Okay.
And let's pop him on the program one of these days. And
reach out to him.
While it's still, but between maybe we can get him tomorrow or Friday. I don't know that you could not look at that and see a horror film, including the whiff on the kick where the guy literally chunked a wedge into the turf. So how does he keep his job?
I love how he totally missed and just got all grass.
And a big clump of grass. I mean, it's like one of the ugliest things when your club is stuck in the turf there. And not only have you wrecked, the fairway that they had just groomed with like a nail clipper to make it look like it was Pebble Beach. And sure enough, there you take a big chunk of grass that goes flying. It looks like a hairpiece. Some guy on a windy day at the pier. Such complete and total ugliness. So that would have been one of them. I mean, we would have liked to have run that by him, but it was an interesting piece there about Joe Shane and how, I mean, certain guys, there was a sort of Chris Greer syndrome, no, where they become untouchable for whatever reason. They go all Elliot Ness, and they're out of it. And then this would be relatively insignificant, Lubie, although it brings up an interesting point about how people are considered to be somewhat of a bustology when it came to draft status to productivity. But wasn't this part of the whole Phil Jackson thing? I know when he drafted Kristaps Porzingis, people thought, oh, well, who the hell is this guy? And Porzingis with the Knicks was nothing especially significant, but
He was always hurt.
Say that he was a good player. Yeah, I mean, you're not
the nickname Unicorn was given to him with the Knicks because he seemed like a precursor to Wembanyama in many circumstances because he could score from the outside, but he could get to the basket, and he actually was good at rebounding and played okay defense. That like he was a unicorn. He just could never stay healthy. Like, he was always hurt. Like, well, which he is. I mean, hello. Like,
he reminded me of the first 7-footer I ever met was a kid in my neighborhood on Long Island named Marty Zoback. And you're thinking, God, I want Zoback on my basketball team, but he just was so fragile, though. He couldn't do anything. It was like going up against a corpse. It was kind of crazy. I mean, just sort of like we were talking about, where these people are getting super skinny on Ozempic, all of these Hollywood stars. So anyway, it was announced that Danilo Gallinari is retiring. Danilo Gallinari.
Oh, really?
Who wasn't he one of the Phil Jackson draft picks?
Yes.
2008.
He was.
I believe he came into the league. So the guy's been in the league forever. Yes. I don't even know if he was on a team right now. He may have just announced his retirement arbitrarily. But when you look at it, it's kind of like when you were talking about a guy in Detroit, right? Where what's his name? I'm blanking on the name now.
Oh, Dumars?
No, not Dumars. Yeah,
oh,
he picked.
What
was the guy he took? Not Cunningham. Number 2 in the draft that year.
Darko, your favorite.
Darko. Yeah, very nice. Thank you. I don't know why I was blanking on that. Maybe I should eat more peanuts, Libby. Anyway, Gallinari was a number 6 overall pick.
He was.
And I remember thinking, who the hell is this guy?
He was an Italian.
Yeah, he was an Italian guy. And he ended up playing in 777 games, 8 teams in 14 seasons in the NBA. But get this, Lubie, in 14 years, he averaged 14.9 points a game and almost 5 rebounds for a guy that was essentially a scorer. So I mean, is that a terrible career? You average 15 a game for that many years?
No. He played a long time, and he was a key cog on a few interesting teams, and he had a nice career. I don't know if he was really ever an all-star, but he had a nice career. Good. In the NBA, you have a lot of top 10 picks that do nothing. So that's a nice career for a guy that was a top 10 pick.
Very, very good. Yeah, you would have to say. So anyway, I just remember people around the Knicks and Knicks fans, I don't think they were ever really that happy with this guy. They were happy to get rid of him. It wasn't like he was Bell's Bellamy. All right, we're going to get out of here. Interesting last night, some college basketball, significant college basketball. You had UConn and Kansas, and I think Kansas got their big star back for this game. UConn was only a 1.5-point favorite on the road. They managed to win and cover the spread. You had North Carolina, and who was North Carolina playing? They were playing Duke? Was it Duke, North Carolina? No, Duke was playing Florida. They played the Gators.
Yeah, Duke played UF, and it went.
And that was a very exciting game, all the way down to the wire. And who was North Carolina in against? Was it North Carolina and Kansas?
Maybe.
Oh, I'm pretty sure UConn played Kansas, and North Carolina played somebody significant also. And all of them.
They played Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah. Okay. In Lexington. Who won that game? Did North Carolina end up winning that game?
Carolina won 67-64.
Okay. That was, great matchups there. ACC, SEC. Miami got a win, University of Miami. Are they doing anything this year, or are they finished? What's the story on UM basketball?
They played okay.
They beat like Tennessee or something.
They played okay. Look, FSU started out with this new coach looking really strong, and the last 2 games they've gotten annihilated by teams they were favored over. So at least their new coach isn't doing that. Like, they found a way to win.
Was it Tennessee or did Syracuse play Tennessee? I think Syracuse pulled off a big upset last night. SEC, ACC tournament.
62-60, ranked Tennessee and an unranked.
Is that still called the Carrier Dome, or did the AC people pull out? I'm not sure. It might be called something else. It was Archibald Stadium, the coldest effing place that you could ever sit and watch. I remember watching a Syracuse-Penn State game. Syracuse had nothing. Ben Schwartzwalder was beyond senility, still thinking that the wing T was the way to run an offense and that he could run Zonka up the middle all day long and get away with it. It wasn't happening. Even a real pedestrian sort of boring team at the time that Penn State was. Were they always boring, Lubie?
Yeah, that was always.
You would say this to O.J. McDuffie, but by and large, would you have to say, if you've been watching Penn State football over the last, 50, 60 years that I've been watching this stuff, boring, no? completely boring.
It's always their team,
yeah.
right? I mean, even a year with Kerry Collins when they had a really good team, I think they went undefeated. Kajana Carter, who I used to see all the time down here.
Yeah.
Like, I remember them throwing it. It was Kyle Brady. I felt like it was a lot of run. They always linebacker you is what they were. They weren't like,
and they were big white linebackers, prototype. I mean, you're thinking, how many replicas of Ray Nitschke and Butkus can these guys do?
Yeah, like big white guys. Like that was always. I mean, eventually they went to the LeVar Arringtons, and now you've seen Micah Parsons and some of these other really talented guys. But like in the '80s, '90s, they were linebacker you, and they would always have like the white guy.
What's up with your man Abdul Carter? By the way, he was.
I don't know. Is he good? I know he was great at Penn State. I haven't heard his name at all.
He's hitting all these disciplinary things. He's like,
oh really? I haven't heard him. I was wondering what the hell happened to him. I thought he was gonna be a monster.
Looks like Donald Trump. All right, that was interesting too. As Rubio was heaping praise, and they had gone around the table yesterday, like, and everybody's just
sleeping,
whatever. Literally, they're salivating over this guy, and Rubio's at his demonstrative of a peak, talking about this man's greatness, and he's out cold.
Sleeping. The Sleepy Joe name is amazing now, actually, because Joe never fell asleep. Like that was what I always thought was weird about that. I'm like, look, he talks slow, he's old, fine, but he never fell asleep. He was awake. You saw him riding bikes. Like he was always involved.
Yeah.
Every time Trump does something now, every time standing up, leaning, sitting down, he's asleep every time. Like he falls asleep every time.
Oh, well, they're doing this massive stroke job.
Like what? The one I love the one. There was no hurricanes.
I kept them away.
Even though there was. Wasn't
he going to shoot a spear into the eye of the hurricane? And
maybe. I'm confused because I thought the Democrats were the one that had the weather machine, so I didn't know that Trump stole it, and now Trump has the weather machine.
What a show. Where is there more incompetence, around that table or on this particular show?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, we're gonna come. We're gonna come your way tomorrow. We'll have the trivia challenge, I believe, as part of it. Yes. Sorry about Jason Cole today. Grant Long also scheduled to join us to talk about the phenomenon right now that is the Detroit Pistons. So we'll see you tomorrow with that, and Friday the professor, the big board, some college playoff prognostications as interesting games, no matter what. I mean, if you're a college football fan. A lot of good stuff coming up over the weekend here. And then, of course, the angst of who's in and who's out, Lubie. Think about that. Our show for Monday's already made in the shade. All right, we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, little Luca Panici Lubitz, who seemed to settle down after...
passed out halfway through the show.
Scratches at the gate there. Outrider came and got him and said, here you go. Like Secretariat, just cool and calm and again. We'll see you tomorrow as we leave you know that.
The time
9:09.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.